This episode is brought to you by Sterling Soap Company. How often do you think about your soap? Well, if you answered, not much, maybe you should. You see, a lot of what passes for soap in stores is technically not soap, according to the FDA's definition. It's full of lab-created chemicals and detergents because, well, it's cheaper to make. Now, what if you could buy natural soap made from natural ingredients like tallow, palm oil, coconut oil, and scented with essential oils, and for just a little more than you'd pay for grocery store soap? Sterling Soap is 100% natural, and with a wide variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, and cologne, there's a product and a scent for just about everybody. Check them out for yourself at sterlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Darren Hayes, host of the Pigskin Dispatch and Jersey Dispatch podcast. I hope you've enjoyed another great episode here on Sports History Network. Now, speaking of sports history, this episode was brought to you by Firefly Books, and they have two great ones for you this summer. For basketball fans, they have the NBA 75, the definitive history by author Dave Zarum, who's appeared on our Jersey Dispatch podcast recently. He tells about the experience, the thrilling journey of the NBA, from its humble beginnings to its modern glory. Uncover the untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. This isn't just a book. It's courtside seats to over 75 years of NBA history. And for the golf enthusiasts, swing into The Golf Round I'll Never Forget by Matt Adams. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. From Garcia's triumph at the 2017 Masters to Nicklaus' miraculous 1986 comeback, it's the closest you'll get to walking the fairways with golf's greatest. Get your summer read on. Grab a copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available online or at your favorite bookstore.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to Award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I am your host, Rick Loayza, and this is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old school basketball to a new school audience, and today we bring you the story of the late, great Jerry West. He passed away last year, and the basketball world is worse off without him. He is arguably the most impactful individual in NBA history. And let me just give you one statistic to explain. As a player, coach, and executive, his teams went to the NBA Finals 23 times. He practically had a summer home at the NBA Finals. The man lived there. He also has 10 championship rings to show for his efforts, one of those as a player and 9 of them as an executive. Many consider him the greatest evaluator of basketball talent ever. And that does not mean he never made mistakes with certain players, but he got it right far more often than he got it wrong. And it is not just watching a player and trying to predict future success. He was also incredibly gifted at putting teams together for success at the highest level. He had an instinct for which players would work well together and which coach to bring in to lead them. And it is not just about bringing in 2 or 3 superstars. I mean, that is already difficult enough. But he was also able to bring in role players who perfectly complemented the skills and playing styles of those superstars. And that is where he applied his genius. However, despite all of his success, the awards, the compliments, the accolades, the trophies, the rings, he was never completely comfortable in his own skin. He battled demons that few can truly understand. He dealt with family issues and hurts just like any of us do. The thing about famous athletes and celebrities is that we typically have no access to what they struggle with away from the spotlight. But they are still just people like you and me. And West definitely had emotional struggles that he dealt with every day. And I have a difficult time wrapping my mind around the torment that he endured on a daily basis. I went through half a dozen books in researching his life, but most of what I will share came from West's own autobiography, entitled West by West, My Charmed, Tormented Life. He was born in Cheyenne, West Virginia on May 28, 1938. Cheyenne is a small rural town in the backwaters of West Virginia. He was the 5th of 6 children born to Howard and Cecile West, although she pronounced it Cecil. The West home was not one that was filled with love. According to West, he never once heard his parents tell him that they loved him. In fact, both of his parents told him that he would never amount to anything. He grew up feeling like a loser in his life, and that is how the torment started. Now, I am not going to pretend to be any sort of a psychologist here and analyze Jerry West. That's actually my wife's territory. But I will say this. Most kids in that kind of a family would have given up on any goals and ambitions that they might have had and simply settled for whatever kind of life happened to come along. But not West. That lack of love that he experienced became a chip on his shoulder. He worked at basketball like a man possessed in order to prove to his parents that he was worthy of love and affection. His work ethic was Jordan-esque. And then a separate tragedy struck the West family. Older brother David was killed in Korea during the war when young Jerry West was only 13 years old, and that was the point when a real darkness settled over him. He would battle depression and anger for the rest of his life. You see, his brother David was considered the good son, and young Jerry was considered the bad son. So why was the good son taken away and the bad one allowed to survive? At least, that is how young Jerry thought of it when he was a boy. These are questions that a young child should not have to deal with. And he wanted to make his older brother proud, and he desperately wanted his parents to simply tell him that they loved him. Basketball was his safe place. It was the place where he excelled and received positive attention from the people in the community. He was never particularly tall compared to his peers, but he had crazy long arms and a head for basketball. He eventually grew up to a full height of 6'3" or 190 centimeters. That, in case you're wondering, is the same height as Steph Curry. And he was one of those players who seemed to have a sixth sense about the game. It was like he could see the next play coming before it happened, and he always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. He attended East Bank High School and became the star of the team. He led his school to the West Virginia High School State Championship, and he was awarded the MVP of the state tournament. He was a hero in his own town. In fact, he was a hero in practically the entire county. The gym at East Bank High School is named after him today, and the city of East Bank officially changed its name to West Bank just for one day every year on March 24th, which is the anniversary of that state championship. He was easily the best high school player in the entire state, and that got him recruited to the University of West Virginia, which was a dream come true for him. Nearly every high school player in West Virginia dreams of playing for the Mountaineers. On his recruiting trip to the university, he was shown around by future teammate and star Hot Rod Hundley, who was considered at the time to be the best player who ever played for the University of West Virginia. West could not wait to suit up for the team and begin his university basketball experience. Now, the coach that he played for at West Virginia was Fred Schaus, which is a name that will pop up again in West's life. At West Virginia, West joined established All-American and the aforementioned Hot Rod Hundley. At first, Schaus brought West off the bench because he did not want to put too much pressure on a young player. He would give most of the minutes to the older players, and the team was incredibly popular, especially with Hot Rod leading the way. He was a true showman. He was an incredibly gifted player who loved playing to the crowd. To Hot Rod, the game was an opportunity for him to show off for the fans and have a bit of fun. For him, winning the game was not quite as important as putting on a great show. But again, his skill was undeniable. West and Hundley only played together for 1 year because Hundley graduated and became the first pick in the 1957 NBA draft. Now, it was West's turn to become the new star of the team, and West was not into showboating or playing to the crowd. He was there to win. To Jerry West, nothing else mattered as much as getting the victory. Now, just as a quick side note, West and Hundley would later become teammates again on the Lakers. They were great friends, both all-stars, and they shared a common West Virginia upbringing. So now back to Jerry West. He took the University of West Virginia to new heights, leading them to become one of the best teams in the country. He led the team all the way to the national championship game where they played the University of California. Now that year, most college basketball fans were hoping to see West Virginia play against the University of Cincinnati, because that would have meant a matchup between Jerry West and Oscar Robertson. But California put a stop to those plans. California defeated Cincinnati in the national semifinal and then played West Virginia in the final. California won the game by a score of 71-70. It was the start of what would become a trend in the playing career of Jerry West. He played in the championship over and over and rarely walked away with the win. West played well enough that he won the most outstanding player of the tournament despite losing the final game. West would torture himself over the summer trying to figure out if he could have done anything more to help his team win the game. He would replay the game in his mind again and again, wondering if he could have made one more steal, or made one more shot, or grabbed one more rebound, anything that could have swung the game in his team's favor. He would do the same throughout his career in the NBA, always pushing himself harder and harder to get better, and always wondering if there was more that he could have done. After one final year at West Virginia, it was time to think about a possible career in the NBA. In the 1960 NBA draft, he was drafted second overall by the Lakers, just one spot behind Oscar Robertson. But before he could begin his time with the Lakers, there was still the 1960 Olympics in Rome. West and Robertson were easy picks to make the team. In fact, they were the co-captains of the team. They both clicked very quickly, both as teammates and as friends, and together they completely dominated that Olympics, winning all of their games by an average margin of 40 points. In an ironic twist of fate, their coach for those Olympics was Hall of Famer Pete Newell, who was the coach from the University of California, who had defeated both West and Robertson in the 1959 NCAA Final Four. And with a gold medal around his neck, it was time for West to start thinking about joining the NBA. And that is when he got a big surprise. It turned out that his college coach, Fred Schaus, had just been named the new head coach of the newly relocated Los Angeles Lakers. And this was going to be interesting, to play for the same coach that he had just been playing for the past 4 years. And now it was time to move to LA, find a home, and begin his workouts to prepare to join the team. The big question for West was how he would fit in with Elgin Baylor, who was the established star of the team. And we will share that in next week's episode. So join us next week for part 2 of our story on Jerry West. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. There you will find short historical posts, and I'll also announce there when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care and see you soon.
The Sports History Network, where legends live on and the past plays loud. Welcome to the place where history's proud, from gridiron glory to the hardwood stars, from the racetrack heat to Olympic bars. It's the voices, the stories, the moments you miss, told by fans and pros who live for this. Hook and Themic, the Sports History Network, where the past comes alive. Podcasts and blogs that keep the flame high, from Babe to Brady, Alley to the Dome. If it's history and sports, then this is the home. SportsHistoryNetwork.com, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear.